Okay, so this video is over cross multiplying. All right, so starting out with number one, blow this up here so you guys can see this better. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. And what I mean by cross multiply is we're going to multiply these two together, and then we're going to multiply these two together. All right, so hopefully that clears up what cross multiplying is. So doesn't matter which way you put it. All right, so I'm going to go 3 times x first, and I'm going to put it right here. All right, and then I'm going to go 4 times 6, and I'm going to put it right here. Now, I could have done it the other way around. I could have said 4 times 6, which is 24, and 3 times x, which is 3x. It doesn't really matter which way you do it, okay? It's going to come out to be the same answer. So, finishing the problem, divide by 3, x equals 8. And that's my answer. All right, number 2, a little bit tougher on this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply the 2 and the n plus 5 first. And this is essentially like distributing. I mean, there's not parentheses around this, but you can pretty much, put an imaginary parenthesis around it because you have to multiply it by both terms, okay, when you cross multiply. So 2 times n is 2n. 2 times 5 is 10, like so. And then on the other side, 10 times 4 is 40. And now you've got a two-step problem. We subtract 10. That cancels out. We get 2n equals 30. And then divide by 2. N equals 15. And that's our answer. Okay? Now, if you wanted to actually check the answer, okay, you can plug it in right there, okay, and it should make sense. 2 over 10 reduced is 1/5. Well, 15 plus 5 is 20. 4 over 5 reduced is 1/5, okay? So 1/5 would equal 1/5. So obviously, we have the right answer. Okay, and that's how you would check your answer if you weren't really sure if you thought you did it right or not. Okay? So now, number 3. All right, so again, we're going to cross multiply. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cross multiply the 5 and the y minus 3. Okay, so 5 times y is 5y. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Remember, when you cross multiply, if there's two things up there, you have to multiply it by both of them. All right, and then on the other side, okay, what I've got is 2 times y, which is 2y. Now, this is the part where some students would maybe get confused because they would think that they add the 15 over. Well, you cannot add the 15 over to the 2y, okay? So what you actually have to do on this one, because it's a y over here, you actually have to subtract the 5y. That cancels out, and you get negative 15 equals 2y minus 5y is negative 3y. And then last but not least, to separate the negative 3 and the y, you divide by negative 3. Okay, y equals, make sure to watch your negatives. Negative over negative is a positive. Okay, 15 divided by 3 is 5. And that would be your answer. All right, number 4. Okay, so getting a little bit more difficult as we go. So on number 4, I don't think it particularly matters on this one. You're going to multiply the 3 by 2 things and the 5 by 2 things. So I'm just going to start out by multiplying the 5 times the 2 up top. So 5 times 2k is 10k. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. All right? Put my equal sign, and now I'm going to go the other way. 3 times k is 3k. 3 times 9 is 27. So now, we've got 2 terms on each side, okay? And we've actually got 2 letters on each side. So kind of what we did in a previous video, okay, about multi-step. We need to get our letters to one side. So I'm going to subtract this 3k over to the other side. And what that does is that cancels out the 3k. And 10 minus 3 is 7k minus 15 equals 27. All right? So as we can clearly see, now we're down to a 2-step problem. Once you move the letter to one side, okay, and you get to choose which side you do it, it basically becomes a 2-step problem. So I'm going to add 15 to the other side. Kind of running out of room here. So I get 7k equals, and then 27 plus 15 is 42. All right, and then divide by 7, k equals 6. And that's your answer. All right. So now the next one. Okay. So on this particular problem, and again, we are solving cross-multiplying. So we've got, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the 8 times x first this time. So 8 times x is 8x. And then I'm going to go 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times 10 is 30. So again, it doesn't really matter which side you do the multiplication on. You just have to remember that the cross multiplying is here and the cross multiplying is here. All right? And if you've got 2 terms up here like this, it's essentially like you're distributing. Okay? All right, so let's finish the problem. Okay, so we've got x's on both sides, so we need to get our x's on one side. So I'm going to subtract this 3x. That cancels out. I get 5x equals 30. Divide by 5, and x equals 6. And that's your answer. All right, on to the next one. So obviously, you can kind of look, okay, crosswise, you're going to be distributing twice, essentially. So on this one, I'll start with the 6. 6 times p is 6p. 6 times 2 is 12. All right, and then the other side. 3 times p is 3p. 3 times 7 is 21. So again, we've got 2 terms on each side. We've got a letter on each side of the equal sign, so we need to get our letters to one side. So I'm going to subtract this 3p to the other side because it's positive. Again, we want to cancel it out, meaning we want to subtract it because it's positive. And then we get 3p plus 12 equals 21. We're going to subtract 12 because it's positive. We get 3p equals 9. Divide by 3, p equals 3. And that's our answer. All right, number 3. So we're going to, let's go ahead and start out with the 6. So 6 times w is 6w. And then 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. And then on the other side, obviously 3 times w is just going to be 3w. Now, what I want to do is I want to get my letters on one side. So if I were to, on this one, if I was to subtract the 3W, okay, essentially I'm putting everything on one side, okay? Really what I mean, and you can do that, okay? And so I'm going to show you what happens if you do that. If you do that, this actually becomes 0, is what happens. And then you would add 12 to the other side. You would get 3W equals 12, divided by 3, W equals 4. All right? Now, probably an easier way to do it. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. That way, because this part confuses some people. So let me go ahead and write my 3W back up there. So probably what I would do on this one is I would subtract the 6W and bring it away from the negative 12. So now you've got negative 12. 3 minus 6 is negative 3W. And it's one less step that you have to do. Okay? Divide by negative 3. Obviously, negative over a negative is a positive. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And that's your answer. All right? Numbers are getting a little bigger. It's getting a little tougher. All right, so I'm going to start out with the 9. 9 times n is 9n. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put it up here so I have more room. 9 times n is 9n. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. And now on the other side. Okay, 6 times n is 6n. 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. All right, so again, we've got we've got two terms on each side. We've got a letter on each side of the equal sign. We need to get our letters all on one side. So I'm going to subtract this 6n over here to this side. So that's now gone. 9 minus 6 is 3. So 3n minus 36 equals negative 42. So now it's just a two-step equation. Add 36. That's now gone. 3n equals 42 plus 36 is going to be negative 6. Divide by 3, n equals negative 2. Okay, and the reason why you see me always do the letters first on this step right here is it always turns into a two-step equation, which are easy, once you move the letter to one side, okay? Because if you move the number over first, it's still going to be a two-step equation, but it makes it more confusing, okay? So it's easier if you just move the letter first to one side, and then it becomes a really simple two-step equation. All right, number 5. All right, so on this one, I'm going to go ahead and start with the 3 this time. All right, so I'm going to go 3 times a is 3a. 3 times 1 is 3. On the other side, 2 times a is 2a. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. This one's pretty simple. The numbers are small. So, again, 2 terms on each side, a letter on each side of the equal sign. I'm going to get my letters on one side. So I'm going to subtract this 2a over here, which gives me 1a plus 3 equals negative 6. All right. So now I'm going to subtract my 3. Watch your negatives here. So you get 1a equals negative 9. Divide by 1, a equals negative 9. And that's your answer. All right. So now, last one. Okay, so on this one right here, so probably since I'm going to have my letter on the, I usually want my letter on the left. So I'm going to start with a 5. So 5 times F is 5F. 5 times 2 is 10. And then on the other side, 25 times 3 is 75. All right, so now you basically have a two-step equation. Subtract 10. That's now gone. You have 5F equals 65. Okay, divide by 5. And 65 divided by 5 is 13. So F equals 13. Okay, there it is at a glance. All the problems that we just worked. All right, so that is multi-step cross multiplying. All right, hopefully that helps you guys out. Remember, you can refer back to this video while you're doing